off by going through some basic medical stuff that you can do before, when you call 911, before somebody shows up to help. So some life-saving things that you can do in the meantime to help a family member, a loved one, somebody that you come upon, and all that. So.
Yeah, so we're going to go over a few things today, but the first thing we're going to go over is something called CPR. Does anyone who doesn't have medical training know what CPR stands for? Yell it out.
Cardiopulmonary resuscitation.
Yes, absolutely. So cardiopulmonary resuscitation, or CPR. So cardio meaning heart, pulmonary meaning lungs, and resuscitation meaning trying to get someone to revive themselves. So we do CPR when someone's heart has stopped, their cardiopulmonary system has stopped, and we are replacing that cardiopulmonary system by doing CPR. Maybe like 10, 15 years ago, we used to do things like you do mouth to mouth, you do these things, you have to count. We don't do that anymore. Really, the big thing that we want community members to focus on is something called hands-only CPR. So that means you don't have to think about breathing, you don't need to think about interrupting, you are just providing high-quality chest compressions for CPR. So if you think about it, the heart kind of lies, I'll use dummy man, lies kind of like on this left side for the general population, on the left side of the heart, or the chest, and the lungs are on both sides. The goal of CPR is to push down on this center part of the chest, so you are pumping the heart for the person whose heart is no longer pumping. It is one of the best things you can do for someone who suffers a cardiac arrest, so their heart stops. That is probably the most life-saving thing that we can do. We have all these like fancy medicines and electricity and all these crazy things at the hospital, but it means nothing that if there was no bystander CPR. If there's bystander CPR, that gives people such a better chance at surviving because you are pumping their heart and getting blood and oxygen around the body when the patient can't do it by themselves. If you don't have CPR, you're not getting oxygen to your body, you're not getting blood to your body, and that can really put you behind and make you not have a good outcome. So it's really important to not be afraid. It is super scary to think about doing, but don't be afraid of doing it. So if you come upon someone, let's say they are what we say unresponsive, meaning they're not responding to you. They're down, laying on the ground, they're not moving. You go up to them, you kind of shake them, say, "Hey buddy, are you okay?" They don't talk, they don't move, and then you kind of listen. Are they breathing normally? They might have little gasps, like, but is that breathing? No, not really. So if you see someone who's down, they're not responding to you, they're either not breathing at all, or they're just kind of gasping, they're not breathing normally, that is when we want you to start CPR. You don't have to go find their pulse, you don't have to do any of that. It's really, are they unresponsive? Are they breathing normally? And if the answers are no and no, you should be starting CPR. Maybe they will wake up with it. That's great, that's good for them. But if they don't, it's so important that you're giving that CPR that it's worth the risks of CPR to just start doing it. So where do you want to do CPR? So like I said, the heart kind of lies on this left side, but then you have a big artery that kind of goes down the middle, and the main thing you want to do is push down that chest wall. So that's right here in the middle. So on men, it's easier to find, so you want to kind of strip them down, find the nipple lines, and kind of go in the middle of that. Do you think I'm pumping things really well if I'm going like this?
No.
No? What if I'm just going like this?
No.
Am I doing a good job? No. What we want to do is you want to push hard and fast on the chest. It's about 100 beats per minute, or if you're singing Staying Alive, Baby Shark, kind of to that beat is how fast you want to be pushing on the chest. And when you're pushing on the chest, you're not going like this, not going like this. You want to use two hands. I usually put one on top of the other to kind of focus my weight on that, and I am using all my weight to push down on the chest. This gives me feedback and says, yeah, you're doing a good job. But you really want to push that chest all the way down, all the way up for the most part. And you want to let it come back up so that lets the blood flow come back up to the heart. So you don't want to just sit down like this either. You want to go up and down. Am I bending my arms? Can you see? So I'm not really using my muscles in my arms to do chest compressions. I'm using my whole body weight to do it. It's definitely possible because it's the right thing to do that you might break a rib. That's okay because you're saving their life. So does anyone have questions about that so far?
Where, again, should the palms be in terms of the rib cage? And
Right, so kind of like in the middle of the nipple line. So if you kind of feel on yourself, there's that hard bone in the middle. You kind of want to be on that breastbone. Yep, at the lower third of that breastbone. Any other questions?
How long now? I know that's changed over the years.
Yeah, so if you're the only one there, you go as long as you can. What you should do if you find someone like that is, one, see if anyone's around you and if they can call 911. If you have no one else around you, you should call 911 and then start doing chest compressions.
what about using AED?
Yeah. That's a great question. So the AED, so they're a lot of time in different public areas. That's going to be a machine that shocks the heart. So there's certain types of things that can happen to the heart that to make it stop. Some of them is because there's wrong wavelengths in the chest or in the heart, and you need to shock it out of that. The AEDs does that all the work for you. You basically put them on, and it will tell you whether or not you need to shock. You put them on and you follow the directions. It'll talk to you, and you just do what it says. And in terms of the AED, if you have someone who's around you, my recommendation would be there, you say call 911 and get an AED and find someone, and then they can bring the AED over and you put it on. There's literally pictures, I'll pass this around, on where you need to put it, so it is in theory very, very easy. You don't need to be able to read, you don't need to be able to speak English. It just has pictures to show you where it goes on the chest. What if you are at home and let's say a loved one goes down, they're not breathing correctly, they're not responding well, and you find them on the couch. Let's pretend this is a couch. So if I'm gonna do CPR in the couch, am I getting good chest compressions when I'm on a couch? No, right? So why am I not getting good chest compressions on the couch?
Because the couch is squishy.
Right, this couch is squishy. What should I do?
Put them on the ground.
Great, yeah, you put them on the ground. So putting your patient on the ground, or your loved one or someone, if you find them and they're on something squishy, you want to get them onto a hard surface because that allows you to get the really good chest compression. Otherwise, if you're pushing down, it's kind of boinging like the squishy, the springs are just going up and down and you're not getting that good resistance on the back to get an actual good chest compression going.